Dr. Jaffe, can the LRA testing and subsequent removal of offending foods have an impact on histamine response and mast cell activation? This is also called tissue mastocytosis. So, any thoughts on that?
Tissue mastocytosis is becoming increasingly common. It was initially defined by a colleague named Mike Calliner in the 1970s. And what it means is that there's a repair deficit so that mast cells, which are there to induce repair, but they're looking for things that are worn out. They're looking for parts of the body that need to be repaired and recycled. And yes, they are sensitive to histamine, and histamine comes from the amino acid histidine, which has to do with the stomach acid function. And when histidine becomes histamine and the histamine reaches these sensitized cells in the skin, you get a very particular kind of release of components or granules, contents from these cells that irritates the skin, but is really intended functionally to induce repair. Therefore, if you can reduce the burden on the immune system, say using the LRA by ELISA ACT test to find out foods and chemicals, medications and toxins or environmental substances that might be triggering these cells to degranulate, to release their contents and make people uncomfortable. One big step is to reduce the burden. The next big step is to stimulate repair. So now you need enough antioxidants and buffering minerals, you need enough essential cofactors, you need enough fiber, prebiotics, probiotics, and symbiotics. You need, for each individual, a suite or a complementary set of safer supplements that work together to correct the acquired deficiencies and, most importantly, to complete the repair that needs to be done. And when that repair is done, first of all, the mast cells quiet down. They're still there in the tissues, but they're just not as responsive. They're not being stimulated as much by the histaminic family of molecules. And then over time, they actually do go back to where they should be because they're really monocytes that got into the tissues, and then we call them mast cells. So with respect to Dr. Calliner, who identified this and called attention to a very important new aspect of immune defense and repair interaction with tissues, especially the surface, the skin, but actually any of the surfaces, you can have mastocytosis along the gastrointestinal tract, as well as you can have mastocytosis, say, in the dermis or the skin. So very important question, complex area that we're still learning about. And the bottom line is we have brought together the best that we know to identify what to substitute and how in regard to the results of the LRA tests. And then most importantly, the lifestyle program about what you eat and drink and think and do so that we evoke your healing responses by getting more of the good stuff in and reducing exposure to and being able to remove or detoxify the quote bad stuff.